Welcome, welcome everyone. Are we here? Are we on live stream now? I just first wanted to extend a thank you to all of our participants who had registered for our July 14th event, but due to the social distancing and making sure we were staying safe, we just shift gears just a little bit to this virtual event. So I'm Quinna. I am the Director of Community Relations for Meadowcrest. And Meadowcrest, it's a senior living retirement community owned and operated by Vantage Point. And today you're going to be meeting the owners and some of our team members to go over more of who we are and what we do. So sit back and enjoy this presentation. Kate Sandler, she's our Corporate Director of Marketing who put this whole thing together. And she's going to be next telling you more about the live stream event. Kate?
Thanks, Quinna. I really appreciate you kind of facilitating and making all this happen with your prospects. I know we had a lot of people who really wanted to visit us in person, and this is just the next best thing that we could do. But I think ultimately it's going to serve a lot of purposes for our community. If you're a prospective resident that's considering Meadowcrest, you can kind of get a feel for the presentation now and then share the link with your family later. If you're a family member considering Meadowcrest, you can watch this later with your loved ones. So I think having this live stream with the recorded option will be really helpful to so many people. If we can just advance to the next slide where we talk a little bit about expectations for today. I know that a lot of people are so excited to be able to meet with the company's founders, Greg and Rita Stevens. They really wanted to be here today, but you may know that we have another community called The Lodge that's getting ready to open any day now. So they're busy putting things together for that. But they did pre-record a kind of introductory session for you. And so we're going to share that video. Following the video, you'll be linked with Katie Cohn, our Director of Community Relations for Vantage Point, and then you'll get to talk to Quinna again about what the next steps to move to Meadowcrest would look like. And then after that, we'll have a panel discussion where we'll answer all of the questions that we've gotten over the last few days, as well as some questions that you're able to answer during the presentation. So if you're watching this live stream on our website, there is a little kind of chat bubble in the upper right-hand side. If you have questions at any time during the recorded video or during the live presentation with Katie and Quinna, all you have to do is click that chat bubble, select guest, and then enter a name. If you don't want to use your own name, you can use an anonymous name, and then you can answer those. You can ask your questions in the chat panel. We'll have a moderator kind of managing those questions throughout the discussion, and then at the end of the presentation, we'll have Meadowcrest and Vantage Point leadership available to answer all those questions that you have. For those of you that may not know, me being Kate Sandler, my maiden name is Stevens. Greg and Rita are my parents, and I'm so proud to be able to kind of help them carry on this legacy as a second generation Vantage Point Stevens family member. So I'm kind of acting as the family representative today. So in addition to facilitating questions at the end, I'll also be happy to answer any questions you have relating to Vantage Point and who we are as a company. So with that being said, I'm going to kick it to our video gurus who are going to switch to that video, and then we'll catch up with you guys once that's over. So thanks again.
We're very excited to be here today, even if it's virtually, to be able to talk with you, give you a little history about ourselves, who Greg and I are with Vantage Point Retirement Living, and to also say how excited we are to be in Middletown, Delaware with our project Meadowcrest. Horst is doing a wonderful job. Construction is rolling along, and we're just so excited to be here. And maybe one day we'll even meet in person.
You know, I think it's important for people to get a perspective of where Vantage Point has come from over the years. And I think the essence of the company really started back over 30 years ago. I personally have been involved with senior housing and senior healthcare services going back into the 70s and 80s.
I think a lot of that stemmed from when he worked for a company that was also family owned and operated, and we sort of modeled ourselves after that. It meant a lot. It meant a lot to us back then, and it means a lot to us to this very, very day. I feel as, husband and wife, we live and breathe this day by day. Our girls who are in the company, they've been with us. They've grown up in this company, and there's a real passion and a real commitment when you do this together.
2020 represents the 25th year of Vantage Point. We first got into senior living as kind of a stepping stone beyond skilled nursing. I had some experience in skilled nursing, as had Rita. We kind of gotten tired of people saying there's got to be something better than a nursing home for when we all need care. In the early 90s, the answer to that question became what's now known as assisted living. And so the first communities that we had built along the main line in Pennsylvania really focused on assisted living. But the fact of the matter is, it quickly became obvious to us that there's this whole continuum of senior healthcare services that people are really looking for. So the continuum of care that we found is what people are generally looking for, includes both assisted living to memory care, which is kind of a subset of assisted living, and then there is independent living.
And what we found to be really successful for us, and mostly for all of our residents, is when you have this sort of a continuum of care from being independent and active living, you're on the same campus, you know the management team, you know people around you, so that if you do move from independent living to assisted living, or assisted living to memory care, or if you started out in active adult living, you basically know what you're getting. It's the same family, it's the same quality, it's the same criteria. So, you're not jumping all over the place and really having to pick up stake and move again.
After 25 years in the business, we feel that we're getting better and better at what we do with our senior living communities. And our mission is to build the best communities that we can, that are the best in class communities in every market, and they stand the test of time.
Our commitment to excellence and being that best in class community is it starts at a foundation of when you're working with architects. Every community, like Meadowcrest, it's in a community unto itself. And we don't have a cookie cutter design that we just drop down. We really do a lot of research. We look at the surrounding marketplace, we look at the homes that are around us, who lives in that marketplace, and really try to understand the community, and especially the history of that area, because it's lost if you don't grab it right away. We believe that there's really three main things that matter most to us, and that's quality, value, and flexibility.
So we try to make communities or build communities and operate them that are best in class in every market that we operate in. And not only are they best in class today, but we want to make sure that 20 years from now, they're still the kind of communities that seniors 20 years from now are going to want to live in. So that takes a lot of thought, takes a lot of effort. And we think we've done a good job, but we've had 25 years of practice. Locally owned and operated is better than nationally owned and operated in the senior living business. And I think it primarily comes down to the fact that if you're locally or regionally focused, you have a chance to interact with the people in the building every day. Rita goes into these buildings frequently. I go in less frequently, but I do go into every one of our communities. And you can get a gauge on what resident satisfaction levels are, how operations are going, and that gives us an early warning system that I think far exceeds what nationally owned and operated companies have, where it may take them a long time to find out about these sorts of issues that come up every day.
Establishing strong personal relationships in this business is paramount to both Greg and I. And that comes in levels of not just our residents and our families, it's our staff. And because we can't be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's very important for us to have that management team in there not just management team, but also our line staff. Everybody from the executive director right down to the utility person in the kitchen matters. They become part of a team. They understand that the service they provide during the day, when they show up for work and what they're doing, they impact somebody's lives directly. It truly becomes such an extended family, and you don't get that in any business that you have. You know, this is really special. It speaks to the heart, and we're very proud of it.
I think that whole family perspective, whether it's direct family or the people inside the company that have become family, or residents and staff, and family of residents and family of staff that have become part of the greater Vantage Point family, I think that really resonates. I think it's something that we found really separates us from the other communities in the markets that we operate communities in.
And I think we act and react a lot quicker to the marketplace and to people's needs. You don't have to go through a chain of command, board of directors, and all of that. You know, it's us. It's our staff. We empower our staff to make decisions and to be able to help people right on the spot when they need it the most. So, and that's easy to do when you're as involved as we both are in this business.
In terms of providing value and flexibility, the other key elements of what we're really trying to establish in every one of our communities, you can break that down into two pieces. From a value perspective, you know, what we've come to feel very strongly about is that a monthly rental community is a much better value than a community that charges large upfront entrance fees or some kind of a large upfront buy-in, which is very common in a lot of the communities that we operate in and a lot of the markets that we operate in. The monthly fees are tied to a very reasonable community fee up front, typically equal to 1 month's rent or 2 months' rent. In some communities, in the markets that we operate in, entrance fees can be $250,000 or $500,000. And besides that, then there is a monthly fee that you have to pay those communities. In our situation, our monthly fees are somewhat higher. They're not that much higher, but what happens is we believe you can take those entrance fees, whether they're $100,000 or $250,000 or more, keep that money, invest it, and take the earnings from those accounts to apply against the monthly fee. We think that from a financial perspective, that makes a lot of sense. But also in terms of flexibility down the road, you don't get locked into a complicated contract that may be difficult to get out of later. You know, typically when you enter these entrance fee communities or into an entrance fee contract, there are different versions of them. Some are fully refundable, some are 90% refundable. Pick a percentage, or some of them are non-refundable. So that gets complicated. In our model, you basically sign a 1-year lease. So you're committed to the community for 1 year. And then after the first year, all we require is 60 days notice if you ever intend to leave. It happens sometimes. We like to believe that most people will stay with us forever, for as long as they live, and the vast majority do. But people's circumstances change.
Yeah, I mean, families move.
Correct.
Families, your sons or daughters or a loved one may move across the state or across the country and make it almost impossible to be able to be with you. This makes it easy. If you have to move, 60-day notice, you're out. There's no complication. There's no reselling your unit. It's a rental unit. So it does make things a lot easier.
The same thing is true for assisted living and memory care. It's actually even more flexible because the length of the agreement, I don't not necessarily want to call it a lease, but there's a residency agreement, typically extends 30 days. It's 30 days notice. If we can't meet your needs or you're ever dissatisfied, it typically only requires 30 days notice, and you'll get a prompt refund if you're in a situation where you ever need to move out in that assisted living or memory care setting.
So right now, the communities that we're working on is in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, where we have the lodge at Truett Homestead. And that's 85 independent living apartments. There's no assisted living there. I said before, our models change and we're focused on what the community needs are. And again, I think the lodge represents that. So
Yep.
we're opening that, and that'll be this August. And we're very proud and very excited of that because it's kind of right down the street from Meadowcrest, and people will be able to come and see that and kind of get the quality that we've been talking about and actually be able to see and touch it. Then Arcadia at Limerick Point is going to open in October, November of this coming year. We're very excited to see that. That is 3 levels of care, just like Meadowcrest will be. It's independent living, it's assisted living, and it's memory care all under one roof. Then next up is our Meadowcrest. We're so proud of and so excited about to tell you a little bit more coming up. And we're looking for that opening to be the spring in 2021. So we're going to be opening, 3 communities within,
In less than a year.
in less than a year. Our family just continues to grow. We'll have maybe 5 or 6 communities coming up on board. We have a lot to do right now. We're kind of stepping on each other's toes from community to community, but it's really an exciting time, and we enjoy the opportunity to talk and to kind of get you a little bit more comfortable with who we are.
Focusing in exclusively on Meadowcrest and Middletown. As we said, we're really excited. It's a 132 unit community. There are 63 independent living units, 53 assisted living units, and 16 dedicated memory care units. We find it amazing that a growing market like Middletown doesn't have any senior living options other than a skilled nursing facility. So we're happy to be the first to enter the market. It's going to be perhaps the most spectacular home that we've built yet,
Yeah.
most spectacular community that we've built yet. We think we have a really special location in Middletown. It's actually at the intersection of Delaware Route 1 and Route 299. It's right on the southeast corner of that intersection. On the other side of the intersection is Encompass Rehabilitation Center. Quarter of a mile down the road is Christiana Healthcare's new medical campus that over time will expand into a full-fledged hospital campus. So we think our location is great. We always try to seek out easy access to hospital services for when they're ultimately needed.
Physician services.
And physician services, and we think we have that in that location. We chose to develop in Middletown because we've been operating in Delaware for any number of years. We love the Delaware marketplace. We think that there's a lot of need for senior housing, and Middletown in particular kind of stands out for that. By the time the doors open on these communities, we've already been working on them for 3 or 4 years. So, starting with the earliest pencil sketches of a community, what kind of services we want to offer, what's the balance between assisted living and memory care and independent living, what kind of food programming do we want to have available, how many dining rooms, what kind of menu service we want to provide. So it's literally 3 or 4 years of work on every community before the doors open.
So some of the great things about our apartments that we feel our residents have always enjoyed, and we've expanded on them over the years, is we provide a really nice open concept, an open floor plan, so that your kitchen is really open to your living room and dining room areas. And we vary them. Some will have an eating kitchen, others will have a snack bar type of countertop in it. Then, you have large bedrooms. King-size bed with nightstands fits easily in. Our bathrooms are really nice and spacious. You have ADA compatible showers to get in and out of. We really go to extremes by giving you the granite countertops, the stainless steel appliances, full-size washer and dryers, not stackable, but the side-by-side washer and dryers. I like light. I mean, that's one thing I bring into the communities is we build these atriums in our common areas so that when you're in there and you're walking around, there's natural light coming in all over, but it's also in your apartment. We have oversized, nice big windows. So you're never really, even if you're on the north side of a building, you're still going to feel like you're getting an awful lot of light in there. And then, of course, balconies. We've all seen some of these senior communities that have balconies and you can barely fit a little tea table on with little tiny chairs. You know, ours are usually 5 to 6 feet deep and
They're actually deeper than
12
that.
feet long. Yeah,
They're actually
I mean,
deeper
he
than
knows,
that
but-
at Middletown,
Yeah, I mean, so they're really nice, escapable places to go to. So you don't feel cramped in your apartment. Plus, then you have all the lovely amenities outside, and we encourage our residents to be out and about and use the community as much as you would if you were going to a hotel and staying at a hotel and enjoying the amenities at a hotel. It's really the same thing, but it's comfortable, and we keep comfort in mind. As we've been building our communities, there's been an evolution in what seniors are really looking for. So we've incorporated things like state-of-the-art fitness centers, a salon that's a full-service salon with a spa attached, so you have a masseuse or somebody in there. I mean, manicures, pedicures, facials, hairstylists. So it's really all self-contained. We have beautiful game rooms, pool tables, shuffleboards, card tables, a lot of activities going on. Movie theater or media room. We have lectures. We run movies. We have specials. We do such fun things there. A lot of fireplaces throughout the building, gathering areas. And one of the most fun places is usually our happy hours. That's right around. We have pub
I know
lounges.
that's my favorite.
That's your favorite, yeah. We have a really nice pub lounge, and the one at Meadowcrest is going to be a kind of in the round bar that is going to be in the dining room. So that kind of makes it a little bit special and something different. Our restaurant dining. It is a restaurant dining. It's a restaurant menu. We usually have 2 or 3 specials for the night, chef specials, but we have a full extensive menu there. We do a lot with herbs and spices, and our cooks and our executive chefs are really an awful lot of fun, and they really enjoy working with residents on developing menus to the future. So I think that's going to be a positive for everybody. The other thing that we're doing now, which I absolutely love, and I hope it'll be a wonderful experience for people, is to also offer grab and go services, which means kind of like if you think of Starbucks, not to plug a national company, but you know, you run in, Wawa baby, you run in and you grab a sandwich, you grab something to drink, and you go out the door. We're also doing that in our community. So we have a grab and go center. So you don't have to sit down for a meal. If you're going in to exercise in the morning, you're done, you just want to have some juice, an espresso or something like that, you just stop in and it's available for you. Beyond that, what we do is when you come to live with us, each resident gets $250 per month to spend in the dining room or in that grab and go, which means you could probably have 10, 15, 20 meals a month there. You'll have a full-size kitchen.
I think that's one of the things that separates us is, you know, we just talked about these beautiful kitchens that we offer in the independent living apartments, granite, stainless steel, spectacular, the type of kitchen you would want or find in your own home
In a
today.
new home.
Yeah. But still, you have the opportunity to go downstairs and take advantage of our dining program. You know, all in all, we think that it probably translates into 15 or 20 meals a month, and you know, the other 15 or 10 meals really are what people are making in their own fully fitted out kitchen.
But you can go beyond your $250 balance. And that usually happens because we got a great restaurant. We got great cooks, great chefs, and people bring their friends. They bring their family. They don't have to go anywhere to entertain. It's right there. So it's that kind of restaurant quality food. So people are really anxious to bring their friends in to see their new lifestyles. We have a day and evening concierge. That means there's a dedicated person at the front desk for independent living for almost 24 hours a day. Our concierge service during the day can do everything from
Arranging transportation.
billing.
That's the most popular thing, I think, yeah.
Cleaning. It becomes a hub. That desk becomes a hub, so that my concierge usually becomes a very important person in everybody's
Amazon
life
packages,
that day. Amazon packages,
FedEx deliveries.
all kinds of good things. But again, comes right to your door. You don't have to go anywhere for that. Another marvelous thing, which I would love, is weekly housekeeping. Weekly light housekeeping is included in
I
your
get
rent.
weekly light housekeeping.
Yes, you do. I do. So we have weekly light housekeeping, which means dusting, mopping, doing your floors, doing your bathroom, keeping everything tidy for you. And that's included in your basic rent package, and linen service. So if you want us to do your sheets and put them back on your bed and things like that, we'll do that for you too. So you don't have to worry about things. All of our programs are different. You know, you may have one community that's a lot more outgoing and outreaching. Another one, you may be looking for more internal things to do. There may be, you know, a college nearby where you can draw on a lot of college course credits and bring speakers in. Somewhere else you might have a lot of entertainers. We try to combine all of that, but we focus basically on what the community really has to offer. We also offer transportation services, and that's either private transportation. We'll have a car with the driver who can take you on appointments wherever you want to go within a 10-mile radius of the building. And that's usually just a minimal charge, like $5 each way or something.
It's a nominal charge.
It's a nominal charge. It's better than Uber, and you know, drop you right off at the door, pick you up at the door. You know, so in the rain, in the snow, in the cold, in the wind, your door-to-door service, and that is really nice. General transportation would be to things like the grocery store. We have a bus. We usually have a really, really nice bus. I'm excited about our buses right now. They take groups, so we'll go out to theaters, we'll go out to museums, we'll travel about in those, but we'll also do routine shopping trips, pharmacy trips, you know, things like that. So, and those are regulated, so say maybe every Tuesday we go to Giant and every Thursday we go to Acme. But there's always some place to go, so you don't have to drive. We go to the residents to find out what they want. You know, we ask them what they want. We want their input. So it gives them some buy-in, and it also will help you feel like you're more part of the community than if you just sit back and wait for somebody to deliver all of this to you. You know, so we're all looking for new ideas, and you know, we all like to be challenged. So bring it on. Whatever you got, we'll try. What we like to do is really partner with either a home health care agency or the hospital itself to come into the building and provide wellness checkups, routine wellness exams, services, Parkinson's groups. We do so many things with our residents, and it's one of the ways we stay in contact with our community at large, but we bring things like that into the building. And when you do have something like the hospital or home health, the advantage of doing that, plus having your fitness center, is if you ever have to go to the hospital for an operation or a fall or whatever, after your hospital stay, you go to rehab, and then you usually have to go home. We do everything we can to kind of minimize the amount of time you want to stay in a hospital or a rehab, and we can follow you through that process. And beyond all of that, it's the security and the peace of mind. There are so many choices you can make on your own without having to rely on your family, on friends, on neighbors to take you places, pick you up things, and all of that. There's a social life built in. You can experience as much as you want or as little as you want. You know, it just gives you choice. And I think no matter what your age is, you know, whether you're 30, 60, 90, or 110, you know, if you want to be out there and you want to be making choices and want to be independent, you should be able to do so. And you should do it within safety and security, and knowing that you have a community surrounding you. It just makes that lifestyle so much better.
We want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to what we have to say about Meadowcrest at Middletown. We know that you're probably spending a lot of time considering a number of options. We hope you are. We always encourage people to look at all your options when you're considering a choice like this. If you have any questions, Rita and I would be happy to answer your questions. Anybody on our corporate management team would be. Quinna, you may have talked with her already. You probably have talked with her. You can start there, and we'll make sure you get the answers to every question that you have. So we look forward to seeing you sometime in the future.
Welcome back, everybody. That was such a treat to watch Rita and Greg talk about their vision and mission for the communities that they're building. It was for me. I hope it was a pleasure for you to watch them. I can tell you, I've been in the business. My name is Katie Cohn, by the way, and I work on the corporate side. I work with every building in some capacity. I work directly with Quinna. I've talked to quite a few of you already, I'm sure, over the last year or so that we've been, adding people to our wait list. And I've been in the business for about 15 years, and I've worked with Greg and Rita and Vantage Point for the last couple of years. And I can tell you that everything that they do is with quality, it's with integrity, it's so wildly different than any other environment that I've ever worked in. I have the distinct pleasure of going to bed each and every night and waking up in the morning with joy that I get to go to work. It's not like, work again. No, it's like every day I wake up with joy that I get to go work with the people that I do and do what I do and work with the elderly. And it's the honor and a privilege. And when each and every employee feels that way, it makes a really tangible impact inside of our communities. And it's just so different. And one of the differences that I'm going to speak to specifically is how we address the financial side. It's one of the first questions that everybody asks is, or weighs on their mind is, well, how can I afford this? And it's, most people will make the assumption that they can't. It's senior living comes with a sticker shock. You see the 1 month rent, and it's kind of like in your face, and I can't afford that. But having done this for 15 years and having helped literally thousands of families, I can say definitively that it's not about whether you can afford it. It really comes down to how you can afford it. There are so many nuances to funding senior living, and there's a way that you have to break it down and really take a look at your finances. And that's one of the things that Greg and Rita do with a lot of integrity is they won't move people in just to move them in and then move them out when they run out of money two or 3 months later or a year later. We really take the time to get to know you and make sure it's the right fit financially, culturally, psychosocially. It has to be long-term. This isn't just a sale for us. We're actually building a long-term relationship. So it's really important that you understand the nuances and we help guide you and make sure that you can afford this long-term, that this can be a long-term viable solution for you financially. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the finances. I'm not going to get into too much of the nitty-gritty because the nuances are so specific to and unique to your situation. But what I want to impress upon you is that if you think you can't afford it, I want to challenge you to be proven wrong and reach out to Quinna, and she'll schedule your own personal financial projection. And I'll show you what that looks like. It really comes down to us kind of going through and seeing, all right, what resources are available and are you eligible for them? What's your income? What are your expenses? And not just what are your variable expenses, but what are your fixed expenses? Not just what would your rent be at Meadowcrest, but what are all of the expenses that you have to bring with you? Like, we really factor in every single solitary, tiny, minuscule little thing to get a holistic picture, a holistic financial picture. And then we break it down for you, and it actually looks like this. And we can do a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, sometimes We have depositors who are in their 90s, who have longevity in their family, who want a 20-year projection. And so we'll do that for them. It's all about what makes sense for you, what you're comfortable with, and what the reality of the situation is. So we'll dig in. We do a lot of assumptions. We'll assume a 3% increase each year. We'll do conservative market returns. We'll do a more aggressive but still below average market return. We'll break all of this down, and then we print it out and give it to you to take to your independent financial advisor so that you can verify that it looks like it's on the right track. And I mean, it's pretty comprehensive. This isn't the only thing that we have. Like, there are many more financial tools that we have available so that you have every single possible tool at your disposal to make sure that we're covering everything. But yeah, it's one thing that I want to really highly encourage that you do. If not Meadowcrest, if you don't use it for Meadowcrest, it's just the best possible thing to do for yourself, to empower yourself with the knowledge of your own financial situation, so that you can make the best decision possible for yourself, whether that's now or in the future. You can't say that coming from a place of knowledge is especially when you're making decisions, is a bad thing. So if there's one thing that I could impress upon you during this journey, is to do some kind of financial analysis. We do this for everybody. It takes maybe 30 minutes. We can do it over the phone. We can do it in person. You know, it's just, you're only giving yourself a gift when you take the time to go through an exercise like this. The other part of this is when you are thinking about making a move to a community, in having worked with families for so long, we often hear, you know, I can't afford it. And so we'll go through this kind of financial analysis and talk about, you know, it really comes down to how you afford it, not if you can afford it. So let's talk about that and work through that and see what is what, lay it out in black and white for you so you can really make that judgment call with facts and knowledge. But then the counterpart to that is, we hear often, we're not ready. We want, you know, I'm still independent. It's really interesting to talk about what independence means. There's a lot of psychology behind it. We come from a different generation than a lot of our elders. A lot of our elders, and especially in Middletown, and this is something that I don't know if you've picked up on, but Greg and Rita are so particular about the communities that they build in. They don't build cookie cutter communities. They really invest in building a community that reflects the people in the area that they're building that community in. So Middletown is, you know, it's a lot of farmland. A lot of our future residents right now are farmers. They've worked this land for generations. And it's a different culture to come from, having, with your blood, sweat, and tears, having cultivated this land, and it's yielded, you know, actual fruit and produce and tangible things coming out of the earth. And then to have an idea of what senior living is, senior living of you know, previous generations, which wasn't always pretty, and to say I'm still independent and not ready. And I want to encourage you, having just seen and heard everything that Greg and Rita went through, that there is a psychological component to embracing an independent lifestyle, and it can't be ignored. It has to be addressed. And that's the flip side to this, is to really leaning on us as your resource to talking through that part, because that can be just as hard as, you know, digging into the financial piece, if I can afford it and how to afford it. It's, well, how do I let go of this identity that I've lived my entire life as, you know, working this land and cultivating this land and feeling independent and, you know, moving into this independent lifestyle. There's some, you know, unfortunate realities that come with, you know, I'm not going to get into all that because I feel passionate about it and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I will say that there's a lot of information out there, and we've been doing this for so long, and this is our life's calling. Helping seniors is all of our life's calling. And we would love to show you what that means, and to be able, if you've ever had a moment where you've said to yourself, ooh, I wish I knew then what I know now, let us be that moment for you. We can actually do that for you because we've gone through this process so many times. So I want to kind of end with that and pass it back to Quinna, and she can talk a little bit more about this lifestyle and next steps and everything that you've seen and heard here today, and what that means for you and how you can find out more and take the next step for you.
Thank you, Katie. That was great. Phenomenal. Now that you've heard the presentation and you heard about our foundation and what the finances look like a little bit, I do want to talk to you about what the next step looks like, which is by becoming a member. And the members are the first ones who are going to form the community's character. And more importantly, as you keep hearing, become a part of the family. Now, to say working with Rita and Greg has been an experience like no other I have ever had. I have been doing this for over 20 years, and coming to Vantage Point has been, it's just hard to express what it's been. It's been great. I mean, they definitely share with all my enthusiasm, the successes, when we're going through the processes of families moving in, any barriers I face, they talk me through them. So it truly is a family environment. You truly do enjoy coming to work. You get to know the families, you get to know the community. So we're all one. We're all one in this as we go through the process. So how do you become a member, you may ask, which is by, doing the deposit of the $2,500 and getting on the wait list. After that, I'll work with you through the process. You call me with any questions you may have, or even any resources that you may need. And we just take it step by step until we're ready to open, and we'll go over your membership priority place. What else can I say? It's just been a great experience, and I hope everyone has enjoyed the live stream event. I think we're going to do a little Q&A in a moment with Kate. Are we ready for that?
I think we are ready for that. Thank you, Quinna. And I think that we missed it a little bit when you were talking about your experience, but you actually worked with us at Vantage Point on another community that's local to your market. So you've been with us for quite some time, and we're so happy that you've kind of come back home with us. As we've been listening to this video and I've been hearing Katie and Quinna talking, it just reminds me that we use the words family and home and things like that really often. And I hope it doesn't come off as corny or cheesy, as they would say, but it really is who we are as a company. And speaking from the daughter of the co-founders, I wouldn't be doing this today if I didn't grow up with the passion that they've really instilled in us over the years. And I just look up to my own parents in so many ways, personally and professionally, and it's just such an honor to be able to have an extended family like so many of our team members at the corporate level and community level over the years. So I really appreciate you saying those kind words. And with that being said, I think the players for our panel discussion today are, you've met Katie Cohn, Community Relations for Vantage Point. Quinna Staten is the Community Relations Director for Meadowcrest, but we have two new team members here in the panel that you'll be introduced to momentarily. The first being Dave Bolton. He is the Executive Director for Meadowcrest. I think we're having a bit of a delay getting the panel up, but I'll just introduce him and then you'll be able to see his face momentarily. And I am so very happy that Rita, my mom and my boss and my mentor and my hero, was actually able to take time out of her day to join us on the panel. So what I will be doing, here we are, what I will be doing is kind of facilitating some questions that we've gotten over the last few days and through emails and chats while this presentation's been going on. But first, Dave, can you introduce yourself really quickly, and then we'll give Rita a second to introduce herself.
I'd be glad to. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all on this event and introducing you to Meadowcrest and certainly Vantage Point. Again, my name is Dave Bolton. I'm the Executive Director for Meadowcrest, and I have been involved in the senior living industry for over 33 years. I'm a licensed nursing home administrator in both Delaware and Pennsylvania. And probably close to 30 years ago, I had heard about Greg and Rita Stevens and their stellar reputation throughout my time in senior living, and had the distinct pleasure of having the opportunity about approximately 5 years ago to start working with Greg and Rita, and have thoroughly enjoyed my time with them. They are as wonderful as everyone has indicated that they are, and I feel truly blessed to be working with them and the team at Vantage Point.
Rita?
You all are a tough act to follow. Holy cow. I think we should, our next thing should be is to have some kind of a webcast for an employment opportunity job fair, because you guys really do talk so well about your experiences, and I'm hoping that does come through to everyone and anyone who is listening to us today. I often say that, our residents are important, but, my staff is really the most important, and setting up these communities with top-notch quality people who.
Oh no.
She froze.
Did we freeze?
Really do and come years. I believe good people attract good people, and I believe all of our communities attract really, really good people and residents. And it's so much fun to see it all come alive when we all meet and get together. And I'm certainly hoping that this whole COVID state that we're in relaxes a bit, and we can enjoy more time together.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think COVID and coronavirus has really changed the way that we've been able to interact with our depositors and future residents of the communities, but it's nice to be able to kind of experiment with this format, even though there's a couple technical glitches. I think, Mom, we lost you for just a second, but we got you back. So okay. That's great. But yeah, these are the times we're in with Zoom and virtual events. It's not a perfect kind of scenario, but we'll just kind of dive right into the questions if everybody's okay with that. I think one of the questions that would be great to start with that we've received a lot is just a general timeline of when Meadowcrest will be opening, and then kind of how construction's going. So maybe Rita, you would be a good person to kind of kick that to.
Sure. As we said before, COVID has really thrown a wrinkle into everything we do. We haven't gotten too far behind with any COVID occurrences at our job sites, so we've been very lucky. But a lot of our construction had been on the outside of the building, and we're moving interiors. So that's always a wild card. Beyond COVID, we also have supply chains that we have to worry about. There are a lot of companies who have gone out of business or are starting up their business all over again. So we're kind of at the mercy on things like drywall, timber, and all of that. But again, as of today, it seems to be moving forward really, really well. I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to make our early to mid to late fall delivery on this project, or spring. I'm sorry. Where am I?
If you watch the recorded video, we have a lot of projects going on. So
thank you, and thank you all for understanding that. Yes, so we're really not that far behind as I'm looking at it. And Horst, like I said before in the video, I mean, they're doing a terrific job. Greg and I are involved every week, every day. I mean, there's always things flying across my desk, and I'm very happy to see the progress that's being made. And I hope if people can drive by, they do that every once in a while to see exactly what I'm talking about.
That's great. Another question that we get, of course, is the topic that is probably at the top of everybody's minds, which is the financial aspect. So the question that I'll pose to Katie, since she kind of talked about the finances a few minutes ago, is what is the price range, generally speaking, of living at Meadowcrest? Let's say an independent living, we'll start there. And then how do people fund living at Meadowcrest? Does insurance cover it? Does long-term care insurance cover it? How does that work, Katie?
That is such a great question, Kate. So the price range actually varies based on where you are, whether or not you're an early depositor, and basically whether or not you're an early depositor and where you fall on that early deposit list. So if you're not on the wait list and you want as many financial benefits as possible, then my recommendation is to get on the wait list as soon as possible, because there's only so many financial benefits available. So call Quinna. As Quinn already said, the deposit is $2,500 and it secures your spot on the wait list, and it's 100% refundable at any given time for any reason, but at least you're not shooting yourself in the foot for missing out on those benefits. It just gives you the opportunity to have access to them, and then it gives you the time to get to know us, to get to know Quinna, to get to know Greg and Rita, to make the decision over time to move into Meadowcrest when the time comes. So going back to your question, it depends on whether you're not an early depositor and you have access to, like, for example, charter members on the early deposit wait list get 10% off independent living rates for life. If you are an assisted living charter member, you get a lifetime rate lock on your rent. So from Quinna, do you have your rate sheets memorized and or in front of you?
I do.
Do you know what independent living rates start at for a charter member?
For a charter member, there are your standard size apartments, your 1-bedroom, and your 2-bedroom.
Sorry, go ahead.
And your standard size apartments are going to start at the $3,780. Your 1-bedroom is going to start at the $4,680, and then your 2-bedroom will start at $4,950.
So the $3,700 for a standard apartment, and a standard apartment is really unique because it actually looks like a 1-bedroom. It's separated just like a 1-bedroom is, so it's really beautiful and big. But that's a charter member pricing, right?
Correct.
So it ranges from 37 to, what was the other one? 48?
For the 1 bedroom, 4320,
For the 2 bedroom?
and a 2 bedroom, 4950.
Okay, so 37 to 49.50. So that's your range. And then what funds it? A variety of sources. The vast majority of our residents fund senior living through Social Security, which on average is about $1,200 to $1,400. Some people have less, some people have more, but on average, people are getting around $1,200 to $1,400 for Social Security. Some people have pensions, some people don't. In Middletown, when we're talking about most people being, blue collar, hardworking farmers, pensions usually aren't a part of our financial portfolio, but maybe they have investments, and they're modest usually. But long-term care insurance we see a lot of, and depending on the policy, it may or may not fund it. Quinna and I can certainly take a look at the policy because there's a lot of nuances within long-term care insurance policies in and of themselves, and we're happy to look at it and let you know yes or no. There's also veterans benefits. There's a lot of nuances with eligibility for veterans benefits. It's available for veterans or their surviving spouses. And we can go into all of that for anybody who's eligible or think they may be eligible, and help you get the benefit and tell you what amount you would get for that. But if you have $1,200 in Social Security, you have a $200,000 from the sale of the home that you can put into some kind of interest-bearing account, even if you're only getting 3%, which is really, really low. I mean, my bank account, checking account, my bank account, savings account right now, I get like 1.67% return. That's, so you're going to get something. And then you get, I think the highest amount you can get for a veteran's benefit is something around $2,200. So you could get $3,300 between Social Security and the veterans benefit. And then, so that out of pocket for that standard, you're looking at what, $300 or $400 a month. I mean, that's kind of the concept of how do I fund senior living?
Yeah, and it can feel so overwhelming for so many people, I imagine, not really knowing where to start and just kind of seeing what they have coming in on a monthly basis now and feeling like that disqualifies them.
Right.
I think the great thing that you do and you do with all of your community relations team, Quinna included, is really sitting down and having an honest, no sales pitch discussion with people about where your finances are today and where they can be in 10 years and how living at Meadowcrest can be more attainable than they think. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important when people ask this question, because this was obviously the top question that we had, is there are so many ways and it's not one size fits all. So if you're wondering and you want this lifestyle, I think it's important for people to at least pick up the phone to start the conversation, and we can kind of help guide you and let you know if it's realistic or not. Because like you said earlier, we don't want somebody to move to our community where it's not a good fit financially, culturally, socially. We want people to be happy and healthy living in our communities physically and financially for as long as possible. So
we don't I need to add, let me just add something, because I want to say what Quinna does and your teams do best too is not just trying to figure out how much money you have, but also to be realistic about what your expenses are today. What are you paying for? Hidden expenses, insurance, lawn maintenance, roof repair, snow shoveling, all of those things. They may seem insignificant when you're looking at, those big numbers, but start adding them up over the course of a day, of a week, of a month. Mm-hmm. Your utility bills, your utilities are all included except phone and TV. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's, and you get, 200 channels for what we give you. And, but there's so many pluses on the other side. And I know your teams do an excellent job kind of bringing that all home. And
It's such a great
making that
point.
difference equal.
I just did this for a family the other day who swore up and down, I don't have a mortgage. I've lived in this house for 40 years. We spend hardly any money. And I was like, I understand how it can feel like that, but just for the sake of knowing for sure, like let's do the exercise so you have it there in black and white. And we went through that, like what do you, exactly what you said, like what do you pay for Medigap? What do you pay for your prescriptions, for your co-pays? What do you pay for somebody to come out and do your lawn, to do your snow? Like, how is your roof condition? When was the last time your appliances were replaced? Do they need to be replaced? Oh yes, I have a leak here. I do need to get it replaced. The HOA fees, or all of those things. And it turned out they were paying about $4,000 a month for just like their heating alone was $700 a month. And I was just, my jaw just like fell to the floor.
Whoa.
Like, can we get some insulation in here?
Nice to be able to write one check and it covers everything. And that's what Greg's parents enjoyed more than anything. That's what my dad enjoyed more than anything. They were some of the hardest people we had to convince about going into a retirement community. It was our own parents.
Yeah.
But once there, their lives changed so dramatically and became so much easier for them. And the quality of life just improved so much. Just those worries alone. Greg and I moved into an apartment a little over a year ago because our home had just gotten way too big. This business is growing. We have so much going on. We do have a home down on Rehoboth Bay, down in Lewis, and we just decided, the expenses were just adding up. The time and the worry we had every time we left the house, for a weekend or a few days it was immeasurable. And I can tell you it's priceless not to have to worry about that kind of stuff now.
Yeah.
And we pay almost $3,000 a month with no services. So.
Rita, in 30 years of building and operating senior living communities, how many residents do you think you've moved into your communities?
Oh my goodness. Thousands and thousands.
How many times do you think your residents have come to you and said they regretted moving into your communities?
Not once. There might have been one or two over all of the years, but mostly, and I categorically can tell you, they say, why didn't we do this sooner?
Yes.
And I don't have an answer for that. I don't have an answer for that. My dad said it, Greg's parents said it. But yeah, why didn't I do this sooner? The upside is there. And if there is a downside, we're there to help you through it. It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
Yep, everyone does have their own process, and I love working with each one of them to go through their process. Everyone's process will be different. Some of them will jump right on board, and some will come back, month after month, and then finally, walk through it softly. But when they get there, they all say, what took me so long?
Yeah, when we open the doors, it's a great opportunity for people now because we're not open yet. So people can kind of ease their way into it and get to know us as a company, as a community. Right now, there's really no risk. So if you decide that this isn't a potential for you, or you feel like you maybe want to move somewhere else, if you don't want to stay in Middletown, we're the only community of its kind in Middletown, but if you want to choose another community, you can absolutely do that. But this way, you place a fully refundable deposit, you get to know who we are, and you get to know your future neighbors too. I think that's one of the things that people overlook so much is the benefits of getting to know people before we open, because you're moving in with built-in friends and neighbors. You're not starting from scratch. So I think that's another added value of taking this step financially and from a lifestyle perspective.
Yeah.
On the topic of moving in and lifestyle, why don't we spend some time talking about what types of activities will be offered? I know we had a couple people asking about bridge clubs and fitness programs. So Dave or Quinna, since you have the most direct community experience in Delaware, do you want to answer that?
Dave?
I can. Let me get you up here. Well, our activity program tends to be very, to use kind of an overused term right now, robust. It is, and very extensive. What we tend to do is we develop with the residents' input on the front end prior to moving in, using kind of a lifestyle survey to gain an understanding from our residents as to what their lifestyle has been, what their interests are. And we utilize that information in a number of ways. And one of those is to develop an initial program for our residents. And that can consist of everything that I just mentioned, to entertainment programs, to outings, as we talked about, different fitness and exercise classes, mind exercise classes, wellness programs. I mean, I could probably take the next hour and go on. But suffices to say that it is a program that is developed around what the residents want, what their interests are, and with their input that not only starts on the front end, prior to them moving in, but as we go on, because our programs develop, they evolve over time. There are new ideas. Some things are very popular, and as time goes on, they may wane in popularity a bit. But the goal is to keep it current, to keep the program fresh, and to ensure that it is meeting the needs in a number of different ways for all of our residents as the community evolves over time. Quinna, anything to add to that?
Yeah, when I do get that question quite frequently when I'm doing tours or working with families, and I do always they say, do you do this? Do you do that? And I will never say, no, we don't do that, because we are a resident-run community. We do like their input. We do want to do what they like to do. It's their home, not their community, it's their home. Mm. So, I mean, we do a lot of things at the theaters, late night we started getting into. And also you keep your, by being in Middletown and moving to a Middletown community, you still keep your same position. You still can drive to the Rite Aid you're used to driving to. So it's nice to be very familiar with a community you're already, knowledgeable about.
And our activities extends to our food service program. I mean, a lot of our activities are surrounded by food, which I love, or drink, which I love. But I mean, we do have fun. Our menus are changed up. They're exciting. We'll have Italian night. We'll have a Mexican night. We'll barbecue outside. We'll have hot dog parties. We'll have impromptu pop-up parties, ice cream parties, all kinds of stuff, all over in a day's time. Planned and unplanned. We'll have surf and turf dinners sometimes, crab feasts, oyster feasts. I mean, whatever people want. And we do make a lot of fun. So those are not just, it's the theater, it's all of those things, but it's kind of just the community as a whole within, and your neighbors. We just have a good time. And it could be pinochle, it could be mahjong, it could be any of those things.
Yeah, and the residents get to invite their families to their events.
And their friends.
That makes it so much more exciting to meet our extended family from them. So that makes it very.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we have a beautiful theater too. So we're going to have, movies and things like that going on. We have a game room. So there's, pool table, shuffleboard, all kinds of fun planned activities in there. Beauty salon and spa. What else do we have there? Multi-purpose room, which we can do demonstration, cooking classes in there. We do art classes. It goes on and on, but there's always something interesting going on in that building.
Yeah,
while staying safe at the same time, while being able to do all of these different things while staying safe. You don't have to drive anywhere. You can if you want, but you don't have to because everything is under one roof, which works out.
yeah. And I think, you know, you talk about all the possibilities for activities. I think it's also important to note that we can pretty much do whatever our residents want. That's a great differentiator for us. You, Rita, Mom, I always bounce back and forth on what to call, but earlier on in the video, she talked about how us not being cookie cutter and how communities can be empowered to make community managers such as Dave, who will be running Meadowcrest when we open, can be empowered to make decisions for the community, as well as empowering the managers like activities directors to build programming that fits within what residents of Meadowcrest specifically want. We don't have an activities director or somebody at the corporate level dictating what an average day at the community looks like. Here, the community and the residents drive it. We do monthly resident council meetings, and there's community involvement both with residents and teams to make sure that we're offering everything that you expect and nothing that you don't.
All right. All right.
Yeah. On the topic of safety, Quinna, when you were talking about driving, one of the questions that we got from a registrant was, what does parking look like? So I'm not sure who would be the best person to answer that. That might be Dave, since he's intimately involved in the plans and the logistics.
Sure. Well, we will have ample parking. Parking is obviously determined by the number of residents that we have, traffic flow. We work closely with the county on making the determination, the number of staff that we have, so on and so forth. But our residents will have designated parking, meaning resident specific parking areas that will be designated for just residents for their use. So they can be assured that if they bring a vehicle on site, there will be a designated spot for them to be able to utilize. We will again have separate guest parking, family parking, staff parking as well. So that's basically how it's going to be structured. I think sometimes there are questions about garages. There are times when we get questions about that. We will not have that. It will be open parking. But one of the things I would like to mention related to that is that we have 24/7 concierge, which that position acts also as security in the evening and night. So they're making rounds both internally and externally. And if we have situations with inclement weather, with snow, for example, our maintenance staff take care of, as well as outside contractor, obviously plowing the streets, clearing the parking areas, and clearing your car if you wish as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want a garage because they don't want to wipe snow off of their car.
Sure.
And so normally when we explain to people that we will help them, we'll even warm your car up for you if you want and bring it to the front door.
We've done that.
Yeah, moving to Meadowcrest because we don't have garages is not a good argument.
It's not. And I would like to also just emphasize, and I think it was mentioned before, the fact that we offer transportation services that are complementary within a 5-mile radius. That's very important because as residents move in, one of the things that a lot of folks feel is important related to their independence is their ability to maintain their car and to drive. But what we found is over time, when they get a comfort level with the flexibility that's provided through our transportation services, both group transportation as well as individual transportation, to shopping, to programs, to medical appointments, so on and so forth. Over time, people understand that they can still maintain their independence, but don't have to worry about driving, traffic, the upkeep and cost of a car, the insurance associated with it. And over time, people understand that they can still have their same level of independence, but don't need necessarily the liability of the automobile ownership.
Yeah, and the car that, I mean, the Lodge, who's opening in just days, their car is a beautiful 2020 Lincoln Navigator. So you're not going to be, if you want to go to the doctor and it's snowing and you don't feel comfortable driving, you'll get chauffeured in a beautiful car, and you'll get dropped at your door, and you'll get picked up and then dropped off at home. So.
And what beats getting picked up at the front door and dropped off at the front door? I mean, what beats that?
What's the value of that?
My husband doesn't even do that for me when it's raining, but I think that's a different conversation for another day.
I think so.
Katie, I know that you have to get off in a few minutes, but we just had a question come through that I think you are really well versed at handling, since you've been working community relations with us for, gosh, almost years now. One of our guests was asking how the initial fee, so I'm assuming the initial community services fee, how does that work, and what does it get applied towards?
So that's a really great question. It's if most of our residents have done have looked at different senior living communities, and so it works the same as every other senior living community. It's some people. You can kind of think of it as a oh my gosh, I'm gonna, of course, right now is when the train has like left the building. It's a one-time fee. And Ken, who's our CFO and has worked with Greg and Rita for like 30 years, is really, really good at explaining exactly where it applies to as part of the financials. Dave might actually understand better than I do, but I can say that it's a one-time fee. Being a charter member, you get certain financial discounts on the community services fee. You get 50%. So if it was 2 months rent, it's only 1 month's rent if you're a charter member, and that comes back to the benefit of being on that risk-free deposit wait list sooner than later.
And that deposit goes towards that, so you're halfway there.
Right, yeah, exactly. And it, so, oh, help me, Dave.
It's okay. The community services fee, really what I tell individuals is that it really assists the organization in maintaining the community. All of the common areas, as beautiful as they are, require continued maintenance and upkeep. Our grounds as well, the exterior of the building, different capital improvements that as time goes on are going to be necessary to maintain the building in first class condition. And those community services fees help us to do that.
Thank you. Those were beautiful words.
Including like your appliances, like if you need a new, 6-7 years later, if you need a new washer and dryer, a new refrigerator, you just let us know and it's being replaced. You're not responsible for any of those fees.
Yeah. Those large capital expenses that maybe as a homeowner you see, and just as Quinna said, those appliance replacements, roof replacements, new hot water heaters, on and on and on, that you have to do in a home, we have to do on a much larger scale in a retirement community such as ours. And this just assists us in doing that.
Yeah.
And that when you compare our monthly rental model with a minimal community fee of 1 or 2 months rent, when you compare that to a continuing care retirement community that charges $250,000 or $300,000 with a monthly fee on top of that, it seems to be it's a lot more manageable, I think.
Oh, it's not just more manageable, but it makes so much more financial sense for you as a resident, because now you get to reap the return on investment of your own finances that you worked hard for. So you're putting the money that you've worked your entire life to save for into some kind of an investment tool, and then you get to keep the return on that yourself as opposed to another company.
Yeah.
But
I know that you have, I know that you have some great contacts, and we do some presentations that actually have independent financial advisors come in and kind of do a mock-up of things too. So I'm hoping that in the future, even if we can't physically be together, we can perhaps have one of these kinds of sessions with somebody who will kind of on the screen kind of bore out all of that type of
Quinna and I were actually just talking about that a couple of days ago, so that's in the works.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, now we know how easy these virtual live streams are. So fingers crossed we'll be able to meet in person again, but we hope to be able to bring more of these digital kind of discussions to people more frequently now. Moving on to apartments, let's talk about that. One question that we got a few minutes ago that I'll just answer independently because I helped put together the presentation is, who asked that? Excuse me. Bud asked if the video, if you watched the video of my parents, when we were talking about the apartment finishes, there was a video that's actually a 3D rendering. So it's not a live video of an actual apartment, but it is a 3D rendering of a 2-bedroom apartment at Meadowcrest. Because things change very frequently. Oh, I think because Katie got off. Kate D, can you hop on the call just to fix the panel a little bit? Or I think Ian's got it. Sorry everybody, technical glitch. The 3D rendering video is actually what a Meadowcrest apartment would look like. So it's not an exact replica. I think the cabinet finish might have changed a little bit. There's actual hard surface flooring throughout the living and the kitchen area. I think in the video it was only the kitchen. That's something that's new that Rita just kind of added, updating kind of the finish schedule to the Meadowcrest apartment. So to answer Bud's question, yes, it is a 3D rendering of what a 2-bedroom apartment at Meadowcrest generally looks like. So there's a couple nuances that have been updated, but if you're looking at it from terms of space and size, that is exactly what you can expect in terms of the living area and the bedroom areas. So,
and we allow some customization also, as long as we know what's going on. You know, a lot of people want to put in custom closets. They want to add something. They want to paint. They want a wallpaper. But we do that, you know, as long as when you leave it in the same condition as it was. We put mini blinds on all of the windows or verticals on the windows, so there's privacy from the first day that you move in. It seems like everybody nowadays wants that living room that has no carpet in it, but our bedrooms do have carpeting in it. We have wonderful luxury vinyl tile throughout. Stainless steel appliances, GE appliances, granite, not builder grade cabinets, but above builder grade cabinets, which I'm very proud of, that I really like. And we try to make use of every space that we have.
Yeah, and if people are interested in learning more about the specific appliance packages, from washers and dryers to the fridge and the stove, we can provide you with exactly what model numbers they are. We have the same appliance package at Meadowcrest, I think, that we do at Arcadia. And I was looking at the value of the fridge at Arcadia just because I was curious. And on Lowe's, it's an $1,800 refrigerator.
Nice.
So these are not cheap appliances.
Yeah, it's the side-by-side with the drawer underneath.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. And better yet, I know Bud asked a question about the rendering, but with the lodge opening in a few months, hopefully we'll be able to invite people who are interested in Meadowcrest if they would like to take a drive down. It's only about an hour, Dave, I think, maybe even less. The cabinets and the counters might be a little bit different, but you'll be able to walk through an apartment and get the general feel of the quality that you can expect at Meadowcrest, because it will be pretty consistent at the lodge.
One question I do get a lot with that is the toilet height. So will they also be able to find out that information? And that?
Yeah, and they're not the standard height. They're the higher toilets, higher seat toilets. The comfort comfort toilets, I think they called them.
Sorry, Kate, I threw in my own question. Sorry about
No,
that.
that's great. I think I'm gonna go off the record for a second because Lauren, our culinary director, I see behind Dave.
Lauren.
Lauren.
Lauren is busy setting up the kitchen and the dining services at the lodge right now, so he wasn't able to sit in on the call today, but Lauren is the one that is responsible for building the culinary programs, and he's just an exceptional chef overall.
We're building bar menus today.
All right.
When is the taste testing?
It was Thursday morning at 9 a.m. I missed it.
5 o'clock somewhere.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks for popping in, Lauren. We appreciate it.
Sure.
Keeping on the theme of apartments, let's talk about storage. I know each apartment has, if it's a 1-bedroom apartment, there's at least two or three closets, both in the kitchen area. You have a coat closet. There's likely a hall closet, and then you have a walk-in closet in your bedroom. So if you have a 2-bedroom apartment, they're even more. And the closet size varies depending on the floor plan, but there is a ton of storage space within your apartment. Dave, can you talk a little bit about storage in general?
Well, as you indicated, Kate, we have ample storage related to closet space in all of the units themselves, and part of moving into a community such as this is downsizing and working through those processes. Rita might be able to clarify for me, but we have in the past in some of our communities been able to offer some additional storage for residents if necessary, which at times has been needed. But what we found in those situations is that people have utilized that because they have had to downsize in stages, if you will. And what we come to find is even with that additional space that they've had over time, they haven't needed it because they found that there's items that they tend to think that they need to bring with them, they don't use.
I attest to that.
You move from a huge house to an apartment.
I have a storage unit. I really haven't gone into it much over the last year and a half, and I keep saying to myself,
Why?
Why is it there? I just need time to empty it out, I guess. But
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
what
Just
you do.
moving it from one spot to another. So the general rule of thumb is if you haven't had a need to utilize it or visit something within a year, you're probably not going to, and it's time to say goodbye.
And Quinna also is very familiar with a lot of moving specialists.
Yeah.
Like, and I did that. I didn't think I needed it because, I just didn't think I would need anybody else to help me. And how was I going to have somebody else help me decide what to keep and what to give away? I'll tell you what, it was the best experience of my life. I mean, it helped me so much. Just sifting through everything, making your piles of what you absolutely need, what you want to get rid of, what you definitely, and believe me, the kids don't want anything, did you, Kate?
They don't.
Very little. Even all the wonderful things I saved for you all through school and everything.
And then what did she do with it? Put it in her basement, right?
Yeah. It's like, no, not in my basement. So, it really behooves you if you're even thinking of moving, I don't care, anywhere. Start today, put a trash bag in your closet and start putting clothes in it that you haven't worn for years. It's amazing how quickly it fills up. And to this day, I still do that. I have a bag that if I didn't wear it last season and whatever, I'm giving it away. It's gone because I'm never going to fit into it again.
Mm-hmm.
And the move managers, they have so many great systems in place as far as putting things up for auction. They even put it on eBay or something, and you can watch people bid on it so that you know that it's not just going in a trash bag somewhere if you're really attached to things. So they have a lot of systems that help you through the process of helping you streamline streamlining and downsizing. They really do.
On that topic, Quinna, another question that came through was just in terms of general apartment sizes. What is the general size range of apartments from standard to 2-bedroom?
So the square feet on the different apartments?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me look at my little handy dandy notes here.
I'll bet you I know off the top of my head.
Wait, what? So in independent living, your standard size apartments are going to be 600 square feet.
A little over. Yep.
A little over the 622. And then you're going to go into your 1-bedroom, which 1-bedroom is going to have 1-bedroom deluxe, 1-bedroom with balconies. Some have sun decks. So they're going to range from almost 700 square feet, 697, to we have one that's 945 square feet.
Yeah.
So they get
really
quite large. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was your 1-bedroom. Now you move on to your 2 bedrooms. And again, you're going to have your standard size 2 bedrooms and your deluxe size 2 bedrooms, some with and without balconies, starting at a little bit over 1,000 square feet, 1,014 square feet, going up to 1,000, so 1,200 square feet, actually, 1,202 square feet.
So there's a wide range of apartment styles and sizes, and I think it might be beneficial, Quinna, to share after this call. We can send out a little email and we'll attach some floor plans. Because I know just hearing the square footage, it might sound small, but being able to look at the actual floor plans and schematic might be helpful. So we'll send that out for people after this.
Yes, and when I'm working with you, I let you look at the whole layout of the community and what is your preference and what's your view. Do you want to look at the woods or the courtyard? There's so many nice views that you can choose from. First floor, second floor. So I do take you through step by step what your preference is, which is also the benefit of becoming an early depositor as well, because they are going to have the first choice of their preference as we move forward.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always that one floor plan that seems to be the most in demand. So
yeah, I wonder which one that will be. But you're right. There's always that one floor plan that we wish we had like 8 more of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so I think that wraps up the apartment questions. If we get some as we move on towards more of the health-centered focus of the panel, I'll certainly chime in and I'll ask them. But from a health perspective, we got some good questions that relate to what if I need more care than independent living, and what types of services are available in my apartment?
So I could start with what kind of services. So living in independent living is just like living in the home that you're living in now. Mm-hmm. So if you need some additional services, you would definitely bring them on board. It could be physical therapy, which we should have in the community. I'm not sure about that.
Physical, occupational, and speech. It could be therapies. It could be home health services, private duty services. Depending on the situation and whether it's obviously a short term, maybe surgery or something like that, or a discharge from a hospital or skilled nursing center. Those follow-up services can be available to you in your home, as well as ongoing or services that may be required ongoing to help you maintain your independence.
It could also be a caretaker if you just want someone to come in and support you after, like they said, after a surgery, or if there's something going on and you just need some additional support. And then in assisted living, of course, you're going to have your nursing, your certified nursing assistants, all your meals included. So it just depends on where you're at and what your needs are.
Yeah, we also have respite care and short-term care in our assisted living. So if you are discharged from the hospital, but you're not really safe yet going back to your apartment on your own, then there's like a 30-day stay that you can come into the assisted living. Our independent living residents have priority over our outside community. So we're almost always assured to have a room available for them. So you can come into the assisted living, you can get 24-hour care, all your therapy right there in your room, and it's all under the same roof. And one thing we really didn't talk about was that the building itself, the services and the amenities, the quality is the same in, and food is the same in independent living to assisted living to memory care. So you're never doing a step down anywhere. It's equal across the board. What independent living is having, assisted living generally is having. Memory care, we have special menus and a lot of special needs there, and we adjust for that. But we're very proud of the fact that the quality of the building, of the apartments, of care and service never diminishes from what you're used to in independent living.
Yeah, it's kind of as when you have the full service model, it follows in a continuum where somebody might move to independent living and be totally independent, still driving, doing the silver Zumba and doing all of these things, going on cruises, loving life. You can still love life as your needs change, and you can stay in independent living. Have access as your needs change. Maybe you want a little bit of extra security using an emergency call pendant or watch. You can have that in independent living. You can have access to rehab, like Dave touched on, or wellness services that we'll offer to help you maintain your independence in independent living as much as possible.
Mhm.
But to your point, Rita, if your needs start to change beyond that, where you would benefit from having 3 meals a day included in your monthly rent and the safety and security of a nurse on staff around the clock,
Mhm.
then that would become time to maybe talk about transitioning to assisted living. And some people might fear that, I would think, from feeling like they might be giving some things up. But when you transition from independent to assisted living with a Vantage Point, like you said, the finish, the quality, the management team, the level of expectation and finish is just the same as it is in assisted living, as you've grown to expect and love in independent living. So we really believe wholeheartedly that your experience in assisted living can be just as great as the one that you hopefully had in independent living.
We
And I
also
will
have
also
couples.
help you through that process.
Yeah, we also have couples where one person perhaps starts to have a lot of memory issues, Alzheimer's, and it's very hard for them to be apart. So when that one person, that one part of the couple is perhaps in memory care, it's just so easy for the other person to come down, to eat with them, to do activities, to bring them out. You're all under one roof. You're still a part of their care. It's just not, the burden isn't put on you alone. You have somebody else. And not just memory care, that's in assisted living too. We see that happen quite a bit. But the advantage of having all of that under one roof is just phenomenal.
And I think we mentioned it before as we're nearing the end of the questions. We talk about our wellness programs and the importance of partnering with providers outside of the community, providers that are in the greater Middletown community. And somebody posed the question about Christiana Care working to bring geriatric focused docs to the area. Do you know if this is true? Can we talk a little bit, but kind of to answer that question, maybe about the strategic healthcare partnerships that we're developing, and if Christiana is a definite part of that or just in early talks? Rita?
It's more or less in early talks, and it's something that's never too early. I know Dave and Quinn probably have a better beat on that at this point than I do. But we generally bring in care groups like rehab, home health care, and bring those into the building. And those generally are partnered with some hospital somewhere. And that definitely would be Christiana in that area. So our relationship, our professional relationship that we have with that outside of professional health community is really important to us. It also helps us navigate and helps the residents to navigate the health system a lot easier when we've got that avenue open with those types of professionals. Dave, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We look at developing relationships, partnerships with providers in the area. And just as we're a regional provider, we look at those developing alliances with regional providers in the area. Primarily, we focus on hospital systems, if they're good quality hospital systems, but we've also worked with other providers, other home health and home health providers that can provide a breadth of services such as wellness programs, therapy programs, private duty support and services, things like that. So we look at aligning ourselves and partnering with those folks that we feel can enhance the lives of our residents, help support the lives of our residents, their independence, maintaining their highest possible independence, and that can work in a positive way with ourselves, our residents, and our family members to coordinate those services and help again support residents and their needs throughout that process.
Even through hospice care.
Absolutely.
Yes, you have to share, yeah.
I think I've exhausted all of the questions that we got from people who attended the event. If anybody would like to add anything that you think we missed, Quinn, I know you've been talking hourly with so many prospects, so there might be a frequently asked question that you can throw at us that maybe we haven't covered.
No, we kind of hit the gamut from A to Z. We really went over a lot. Again, one of the questions I always get is about the toilet height and the cost, which we went over. So I think we're good. I think we hit a lot of them.
I know one we didn't hit.
What?
I know one. Do we accept pets?
Yes.
And we do. We do.
Yes, we do.
Bring them on. Bring them on.
We're very animal oriented, and I'm going to share with you my new baby.
Oh my
who is now
goodness.
7 months old, who has been here the whole time listening to the presentation.
Oh.
So it's so interested.
He is.
You
We
can
put
care
him-
for your
we're going
pet,
to
you
sleep.
can have your pet.
No, we do accept pets generally. If they're well-behaved pets, that's even better. And you can take care of your pet and pick up after your pet and provide a source of vet rabies, certificates and things like that. We're very into animals, so.
And you can even have pets visit you as long as we have the records as well.
Mhm.
And also, if you need services to help you with your pet, there are pet services that come and walk your dog. But another reason people do the early deposit, I hate to sound like a broken record, is some people with the dogs, they like to be on that first floor. So their preference is to get right on that first floor because they're in and out with their little dog. Most of the time it's a little dog. Every day to walk them, it makes it much easier for them.
And size does not matter. I mean, I know there's small dogs that are more vicious and yappy than a big Great Dane, so as long as they're well-behaved pets, we don't care. And you'll probably be seeing more of OB once our building opens because he loves to come and visit too.
Oh, and one other question is, are there elevators? I do get that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there are elevators,
I think there's
several different areas. Of
elevators in the place. There's a lot of elevators.
You do not have to take the steps.
Yeah, and that's another good point too. I mean, a lot of people want to be by the elevator.
Yeah.
And other people want to be by the stairs because they still do the stairs every day and they don't care whether they're going up 3 flights or not. So everybody has a preference.
They
Yeah,
do.
some people want to be by the pub. I know that's where I would want to be. Some people want to be by the dining room, or they want to be on the 4th floor because they don't want somebody living over them. Even though things are very soundproof at Meadowcrest, people still like to be on the top floor.
Yeah.
If you have a preference, being a depositor will enable you to be able to make those preferred choices.
Yes, yes. I bring my little book with me and we work through it. We look at the floor plans, we look at the layout, and we just take it step by step.
Yep. So if nobody has anything else to add, I think I'll kind of close it by thanking everybody for joining us. I know this was super fun for me, if you can't tell. And hopefully we'll be able to have many more of these. I think as next steps from our end, me and my counterpart, who's Ms. Kate, we'll be sending out an email with a link to the recorded version of this, and we'll also include some attachments of things that we maybe talked about, but would probably be better to look at visually, like a sample activities calendar and the floor plans and the pricing sheets. But if you have any specific questions, Quina is ready and available to answer your calls, answer your emails. This is certainly a huge priority for us because we know you just took almost 2 hours out of your day to learn more about us. So if there's any additional burning questions that you have, we want to make sure that we're able to answer them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure, everybody. I'm so glad I was able to make it today.
Truly has.
Exciting.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah. The next time we might have to make it from like 4 to 6 for happy hour.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe we'll ask that as a poll in our follow-up email. Would you like a happy hour discovery event? Then we'll do everything. All right, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you
Thank you all
so
very
much.
much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.